This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When send past the assist, you know that it's number one show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.
Knicks family, what's poppin'? It's your boy. Ladies and gentlemen, you see it up on the screen, up above me. This is a must-win situation, folks. This is a must-win game for the New York Knicks tonight. They take on the Miami Heat at 7:30 p.m. in Kaseya Center. I'm not exactly sure how you say it. I guess it's Kaseya, something like that. But they take them on, folks. And if the Knicks don't get this win, you might as well forget about the rest of the series. That's the way that I feel about it. They need this win if they plan on advancing. You know, the Miami Heat, they can sense it. So right now, they're probably tasting blood. They're ready to send the New York Knicks home, back to MSG down 3-1. That's what the Miami Heat plan to do. The New York Knicks, they better have something different in mind, because if not, that's exactly what'll happen. The last game put a bad taste in my mouth. There's no doubt about it. Not just me. I'm pretty sure everybody put a bad taste in everybody's mouth. Because, ladies and gentlemen, the Knicks played bad basketball all the way around. They played bad basketball. They couldn't hit a shot when they needed to hit a shot. They couldn't get stops when they needed to get stops. Terrible from the three-point line. They actually allowed the Miami Heat to rebound with them. Now, the Knicks had been dominating the glass for this entire series. Well, Miami won last game 50-48. And that doesn't seem like a lot. And no, Miami didn't dominate the glass. But they won the battle. And it's a big change because the Knicks had been dominating the glass. So when you go from winning the rebound battle 50-34 or 50-38 or something like that, and now you lose it by 2, that means you got out-hustled, you got outworked. That's what happened last game. The Knicks got outworked. So this is a must-win situation for the New York Knicks. They lose this game, in my opinion, they lose the series. And there's going to be people that disagree with me and say, no, they could still come back. I'm going to tell you, man, I don't think if the Knicks lose tonight, I don't see them winning 3 more games. 3 games in a row. I don't see that happening. Anyway, let's get to the injury report. Because obviously the injury report is going to impact who starts and who comes off the bench, those type of things. So for the New York Knicks, Emmanuel Quickley is doubtful with a left sprained ankle. The Knicks need Emmanuel Quickley off the bench. There's no doubt about it. He hasn't been producing, though. He has not been giving you what you need. So that's obviously been tough for the Knicks, because the Knicks need Emmanuel Quickley. They need him to score. They need Emmanuel Quickley to, give you energy off the bench. And he hasn't done that so far in this series. And he's not going to do it tonight because he's probably not going to play. For the Miami Heat, Bam Adebayo was available. I guess he He must have had an illness. So he's available. Jimmy Butler is questionable. Jimmy Butler probably plays tonight. He's questionable, but I think he probably plays. Okay. He wants to try to, close out this series if he can. And you can't close it out tonight, but you win this game, you almost close out the series. And I think Jimmy Butler knows that. He understands the importance of this basketball game. That's the thing about this Heat team. This Heat team, they understand the importance of each possession. They understand the importance of each game because they have guys who have been there. Kevin Love, he's been there. He's been to the championship. He's won championships or a championship. Kyle Lowry, he's won a championship. Jimmy Butler's been to the NBA Finals. Bam, he's been to the NBA Finals. They got Udonis Haslem on the bench he's won multiple championships. So they have guys who have been there, ladies and gentlemen. That makes an impact. No doubt about it. It makes an impact. The Knicks are learning how to be there. They're here right now. But they're learning how to be a championship caliber basketball team. Can they get through this series? I don't know. It's obviously going to be tough. But again, Immanuel Quickley is doubtful for the Knicks. Jimmy Butler is questionable for the Miami Heat. I think he plays. He might be questionable, but I think he plays. No doubt about that. Looking at the starting lineups for tonight's game, though, Immanuel Quickley being out doesn't really impact the starting lineup. But I will say this, and I think most of you agree with me. Quentin Grimes needs to go back into the starting lineup. And this is not an indictment on Josh Hart. Josh Hart scored 15 points, I think 12 rebounds in the last game. Okay, he's been productive for this basketball team. There's no doubt about that. So this is not an indictment on Josh Hart. It's simply about lineups. How the lineups look and work together. That's what it's about. And Quentin Grimes adds something to that starting lineup. Quentin Grimes adds shooting to the starting lineup. He's stronger going off the dribble than Josh Hart. See, Quentin Grimes is going to release it quick. When Quentin Grimes gets the ball, he's not going to stop and think about it. And Josh Hart, a lot of times, he stops and he thinks about whether or not he's going to take the shot. And that's to the detriment of the New York Knicks, in my opinion. It's to the detriment. He's got to let it go quick. Get it out of his hands. Make it or miss it. But he hesitates. And then he looks to go to the basket. Now, Quentin Grimes, he'll shoot it. He's going to shoot it quickly, too. But he goes to the basket better than Josh Hart. He attacks the rim better, in my opinion. He's quicker off the dribble. He's quicker. He has a quicker first step than Josh Hart, and it makes him a threat. And the Knicks need offensive threats in that lineup. They need offensive threats. If they are going to win this basketball game, in my opinion, Quentin Grimes needs to be in that starting lineup. Now, I'm not going to say that's the only way that they can win, but I think that's a big key. But knowing Tom Thibodeau, that's probably not going to happen. And you're most likely looking at the same starting lineup he's been rocking with. Because that's what Tom Thibodeau That's what Tom Thibodeau has based his philosophy around, consistency. And it's hard to argue with them because they've made it this far. I would expect that Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, R.J. Barrett, Julius Randle, and Mitchell Robinson will be the starting five for the Knicks. Maybe Tom Thibodeau will surprise all of us. Start Quentin Grimes in lieu of Josh Hart. If he does, it would be Jalen Brunson, Quentin Grimes, R.J. Barrett, Julius Randle, and Mitchell Robinson. And for those who are used to me having, the slides up on the screen when I do this, I'm rebuilding some things here, so excuse me for not having all of that information on the screen for you. All you got to do is look at my uncut hair and all of that stuff. For the Miami Heat, I would expect that Jimmy Butler's going to play. So you're talking about Gabe Vincent starting at point guard spot, Max Struss, Jimmy Butler, Kevin Love, and Bam. Same starting lineups. If, for some reason, Jimmy Butler does not play, I would expect them to start Caleb Martin. Caleb Martin is also questionable, but I think he's going to play. But I expect both teams to come in with the same starting lineups. I would like to see Quentin Grimes in that starting lineup for the New York Knicks, but I doubt that's going to happen. Doubt it's going to happen. I'd also like to see, just talking about lineups, sometime throughout this game, I would like to see Tom Thibodeau utilize that small lineup the way he did in Game 3. Now, he did it very late in Game 3. All right, in Game 3, he utilized that that small lineup in the fourth quarter when they were desperate, basically. I'd like to see him utilize it a little bit earlier. I think it can be effective. I really do. I think that, first of all, Miami plays small. Once Kevin Love goes out the game, he's small. The Heat are small. Bam, he's a little bit bigger than Julius Randle, but I think Julius Randle can handle Bam. And then you'd have Obi Toppin out there who he can spread the floor. I think it opens it up for the Knicks when they utilize the small lineup. Against this team, at least. Doesn't mean it's going to be for everybody, but at least against this team, I think it'll help to open up the floor. Everything is tight right now. Everything is tight. The Miami Heat do a great job protecting the paint, but they also get out on shooters. So you got to have shooters out there to make them have to scramble. That's one of the downfalls of having Josh Hart out there on the floor. In that starting unit, at least. Not out there on the floor, in that starting unit. Because while he can shoot, he doesn't shoot. So teams don't fear his shooting. I mean, the Knicks haven't shot the three ball well overall. So it gives Miami confidence that, oh, you know what? They're not shooting the ball. They're not shooting the ball. No reason for me to scramble to get out here. I might as well relax. Makes sense, right? I might as well relax. I can take my time getting out here, or I can help a little bit deeper in the paint. That's a little bit more what it is. Instead of taking my time getting out, I can help deeper in the paint. I think Quentin Grimes in that starting lineup gives them a little bit more fear, and Obi Toppin out there with Julius Randle gives them a little bit more fear with shooters because Obi Toppin's been shooting the ball well. Decently enough. They have to respect it, and they have to close out on it. And he hasn't been afraid, I don't want to say to shoot it off the dribble, but to really catch and shoot, catch the ball on his fingertips and go up. He hasn't been afraid to do so, and he's been successful doing it sometimes. So I think that lineup can work in stretches. I really do. Obi Toppin can provide you with some transition. He can provide you with some above the rim play so he can space the floor vertically. He can shoot it from three. He's not going to protect the rim like Mitchell Robinson. You know what I mean? Sherwin says Obi Toppin's defense is not just bad, it's agonizing, arduous, and awful. It's not that bad. It's not like that. Come on, Sherman. It's not like that. It's not like that. You know, the Knicks, I mean, but if you look at what's going on, man, the Knicks are struggling offensively. We got to find a way to loosen up Miami Heat's defense if you're going to win this series. The Knicks scored 86 points in the last game. 86 points. If you don't loosen up the defense by providing some offense, we're in trouble. So you got to figure out and try something. Got to try something. I think that's small, and I'll probably talk about it again when I do keys to the game, but I think that small unit can be helpful. But again, ladies and gentlemen, the starting units for the New York Knicks, I believe, will be Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, R.J. Barrett, Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson. If Tom Thibodeau has a change of heart, no pun intended, but if he has a change of heart, he may start Quentin Grimes. And then it would be Jalen Brunson, Quentin Grimes, R.J. Barrett, Julius Randle, and Mitchell Robinson. I don't expect Tom Thibodeau to have a change of heart. For the Miami Heat, Jimmy Butler is questionable, but I expect him to play. But you got Gabe Vincent, Max Struss, Jimmy Butler, Kevin Love, and Bam Adebayo. Starting lineups for these teams, ladies and gentlemen. Now let's talk about some stats, some game stats. And the biggest stat of all is that the New York Knicks cannot consistently hit the three. That's the biggest stat, in my opinion. The biggest stat of all. The Knicks have got to hit threes. They want to have a chance to win this series. We've been talking about it game after game after game. In 2 of the 3 games, they haven't shot the ball well. 20% from the three-point line last game. 20%. 8 for 40. And listen, the Knicks are going to have open shots. They're going to have open shots because of the way the Miami plays defense. And sometimes they're going to go to that zone. The Knicks are going to need to knock down threes to loosen up that zone. Or the zone is already loose to crack that zone. But they've got to hit threes. They've got to hit threes. They got to take smart threes, but they got to focus in and knock them down. You know what I'm saying? And I know some people say, hey, play Evan Fournier, especially now that Emmanuel Quickly is out. And when we get to keys to the game, we're going to talk about, who plays for Emmanuel Quickly. My thing is, how long is it going to take Evan Fournier would he be able to come in off the bench and light it up? I don't know. I actually think there's a chance that Evan Fournier plays a little bit. I really do. I think there's a chance. Most likely, he'll go with Deuce McBride. But when you talk about Deuce, you're bringing more defense, not really shooting. The Knicks really need shooting. So there's a chance. At the very least, there's been discussions about Evan Fournier. And I'm not talking about from fans, right? From the coaching staff. There has to have been discussions about, do we play Evan Fournier? There has to have been. If they haven't had those discussions, then they're not doing their job, right? Now with Emmanuel quickly out, the question is who plays. Some people want D Rose. I don't think D Rose is getting off the bench. Some people want Fournier. Some people want Deuce McBride. Deuce McBride is definitely going to bring you defense. Can he give you the consistent shooting? He's gotten more comfortable shooting the ball with this basketball team. I will say that. He's gotten a lot more comfortable. But anyway, the Knicks have only been shooting the ball. They haven't been shooting it well. Twice they shot 20%. One time they shot 40%. The only good thing, the only trend that you can hope for right now is that in game 1, the Knicks shot 20%. In game 2, they shot 40%. Game 3, they shot 20%. Now, can we go back to shooting 40% in game 4? If that's going to be the trend? Because I agree with Jarrell. Right? Jarrell said, if we shoot the ball well, we win. I agree. We shoot it, we win. Sherwin says, Obi Toppin has a three-point percentage of 32.4 in the 2023 playoffs. His offense can't make up for his bad defense. I tell you what, that 32.4% in these playoffs is one of the highest on this basketball team, my friend. Because these guys have not been shooting the ball well. So he's one of the highest shooting, three-point shooting players on this basketball team. I don't know what else listen. You can use Obi in this series, and I think he should use Obi. You know? Oroku. Saki said you can't play guys who sat the entire year. Speaking of Evan Fournier and speaking of Derrick Rose. I get it. I understand, but sometimes you got to try something. Maybe you catch lightning in a bottle. I am Jarrell said Evan Fournier wouldn't shoot any worse than our other guards. It's win or go home time. I agree. You got to try. You got to do something. You got to do something. Got to figure something out. That three-point shooting is imperative. Rebounding, ladies and gentlemen, is imperative. The Knicks got killed on the glass, in my opinion. Even though Miami only won 50 to 48, I feel like they got killed because the Knicks had dominated the glass. They've got to get back to dominating that glass. Dominating the glass and getting to loose balls. Miami got to way more loose basketballs than the Knicks did. They wanted it more. Way more than the Knicks did. If the Knicks, if they don't bring that extra effort on every play, they're going to be in trouble because Miami is going to bring it. Bring the extra effort. Grab the rebounds, bring the extra effort. Listen, Josh Hart, 12 rebounds. Julius Randle, 14 rebounds. And we're going to get into Julius Randle. We're going to talk about Juju. Trust that. But after that, Barrett, 3. Robinson, 5. You expect him to have more. Brunson, 6. That's good. Hartenstein, 3. Toppin, 3. Guys got to grab. We've got a gang rebound. I want the Knicks to have 55, 56 rebounds in this basketball game. We need them to dominate the glass. We need them to dominate of the battle of the loose ball. They've got to be a step quicker. They've got to exert their physicality as well. That's something very good that Miami has done since since the beginning of the series. They've exerted their physicality. The Knicks have got to do the same. They're a physical team. Both teams are physical. That's how they play by nature. That's how these teams are designed. The Knicks have got to utilize it because Julius Randle looked soft in the last game. He looked soft. We're going to talk about him when we get to these keys to the game. Turnovers, ladies and gentlemen. The Knicks have got to take care of the ball. Only 13 turnovers in the last game. But when you have 13 turnovers, and, a number of those turnovers come in the last, you got to take care of the ball. Right? The Knicks had 13 turnovers. 3 of them came in the fourth quarter. Obviously there was a point in the game where, it didn't matter anymore. Right? Fourth quarter didn't really matter. Second quarter, the Knicks had 6 turnovers. And that's where the game was blown open. For the most part. The Knicks could never get their footing back. You got to remember, this team, they're going to capitalize off of turnovers. The Miami Heat, they also had 13 turnovers, but they could afford to have 13 turnovers because they had a large double-digit lead. The Knicks have got to take care of the ball. And if you do turn the ball over, you got to get back on defense and do not let them capitalize. Because they will capitalize. They're just that kind of a team. They're going to capitalize. They're going to capitalize. But the biggest thing is shooting. There's no doubt about it. That's the biggest thing. Shooting. 15 assists for the Knicks in the last game. 17 for Miami. And look, Miami didn't shoot the ball that well either. They shot 38.9% from the field. They shot 21.9% from 3. So while Miami wasn't shooting the ball well, they still had some open shots, though. But while they weren't shooting the ball well, the Knicks were shooting even worse. All right, 34% from the field, 20% from 3. But the Knicks, they lacked the extra hustle. You know what I'm saying? The extra hustle, they lacked it. You know what I mean? And if you're going to lack that extra hustle, you're going to get beat by a team like Miami. But shooting, though. Shooting is the biggest key. Let me get my man Tony Crow in the building. Tony, what's poppin' with you, my brother? How you feeling, man? I'll give you a chance to get your microphone on and popping and whatnot. Let's move on to keys to the game, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get to our keys. Because there's a lot of keys to the game. Shooting is the number one key, right? That's the number one key to the game. Shooting the ball. Making shots. Not just shooting, but making shots. And it's tough to do in this series because it's so physical. The defense is so tough on both sides of the ball. But this is what the playoffs are about. And you got to be able to make shots through this type of physicality, through this type of defense. You know what I'm saying? If you don't, then obviously you're destined to lose the ball. But that's the first key. Make shots. Make shots. Second key, for me, Julius Randle got to show up. You know what I'm saying? If Julius Randle don't show up, then, you can forget about the series. He's shown up big time, one game in these playoffs. That was game 2. He's been a no-show. If Julius Randle doesn't show up, it's not going to happen for us. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to happen for us if Julius Randle don't show up. I don't know what it is that Julius Randle has to do. I don't know what's going on upstairs. But the Knicks need him. And tonight will be the perfect time for Julius Randle to show up and perform. And have a big one. They need one from him. And if you're supposed to be, you're the all-star, you made the all-star team, possibly all-NBA, you got to take your game to the next level. Without a doubt. Tony, what's poppin' with you, man? How you feeling?
What up, Sim? Shout out to the chat. Peace, Queen. Oh, man, it's been a long time. I think Randall might be number one key to the game. to be honest. He didn't look very engaged last game.
No, not at
Um,
all. He looked terrible.
I think we need him engaged first and foremost. We've seen the Knicks struggle shooting the ball. Now, granted, I'm not saying that shooting is close second to me because obviously the shooting's been horrible, but we've won games with bad shooting. With other things being the key as far as like rebounding, offensive rebounding, second chance points and things of that nature. But Randall, I think, is number one key, has to be engaged, has to perform. He
Right.
doesn't even have to play well to for us to win. You know what I mean? But he has to be engaged for us to win. And last game, it did not feel like he was.
No, not at all. I mean, he had 14 rebounds, but I didn't feel like they were consequential. You know what I'm saying? They didn't. I didn't feel like they meant anything. Even when the game was in the balance and the Knicks were, it was an 8-point game or whatever, it didn't feel like they meant anything. He wasn't there. Yeah, and I was saying to myself, is he intimidated? Because that's what it looked like. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't aggressive, throwing his body around. Uh, you know, he wasn't there. I don't know. Steph, what do you think, man? Uh, you know, uh, uh, is Randall engaged or what? And I think you're muted, Steph.
Sorry about that. Shout out to you, Sim and Tony. Sim, you asking a great question because I was saying this the other day. I said, we're talking about Grimes, we're talking about IQ, and rightfully so, but not enough attention has been put on Julius Randle. And I don't know, I get the ankle injury, but to me, that would just show your physical limitations. You know what I mean? You're out there
Right.
trying, like you said, you engage, and there's certain things you just can't get to because the ankle is not right. That's not what I'm seeing out there. And you can argue, as much as we talk about Grimes and IQ, that if we got Randall and Brunson, just a little bit of the other guys, we're good.
Right.
It's hard when you don't even have Randall. And to your point, Sim, he did have 15 rebounds. And I get it, he's not efficient. Brunson is not even as efficient,
Mhm.
as he was during the regular season. So I get that part. But it's going to be hard to win this. Forget how we felt coming in. Now that we know, it's going to be hard to win this series without Julius Randle being Julius Randle.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know if he's intimidated or what it. It's hard for me to blame the ankles. I've seen some people say, his ankle. His ankle is bothering him. I mean, for me, if your ankle is bothering you, then don't play.
Don't play. Yep. If you're a
Just
detriment, don't play.
just don't
If you
play. You know what I'm saying? Let somebody else get in there and play because
How Jimmy Butler ankle looking?
right.
That don't look like he 100%.
Yeah.
You see on certain plays he's limping and.
And I mean, it's little things. I mean, just he just looking lazy. Just looking lazy.
It's some otherwise he said he's taking too high dosage of whatever meds, and not. I know that's like a joke or whatever, but he does look drowsy out there. You know what I mean? Like, like he looks like that could be a case for anybody who's ever like taken a pain med and then just tried to function on it. Like, shoot.
Yeah, I get it. You know what I'm saying? But it goes back to if you can't function at a high level, then don't play. You know what I'm saying? It goes back to that. Don't play if you can't function. You know what I'm saying? Because he's got to be the biggest key to the game. Because I agree. You know what I mean? If you get a little bit of Randall playing aggressive, you know what I'm saying? Playing decent basketball, then this year the Knicks could be up 2-1. Right? Just a little bit of Randall doing that. You know what I mean? But we've only seen him in one game, and right now, I don't know. I don't know where he is. Hopefully, that little scuffle that went down, maybe it encourages him. Maybe it sparks something in him, and he comes in and plays aggressive today because they need him to be aggressive. They need him putting his shoulder into somebody's chest. They need him, banging people around and moving them out the way. You know what I'm saying? In order for the Knicks to be successful. If he's not doing that, it's I think it's going to be tough for the Knicks to win this series. He's got to figure it out, and hopefully tonight he has. I don't even care if he's efficient, but he's going, he's trying to score, he's being aggressive. You know what I'm saying, and trying to win the basketball game, and he's engaged. So that's definitely. I mean, shooting. Obviously, the Knicks got to shoot the ball, but Randall being engaged is necessary. It's a key. Maybe the biggest key to the Knicks being successful tonight.
Right. Because when we came into the series and we was thinking, sorry, Tom.
Okay.
Talking about the Knicks on paper, we had the better team.
Right.
And a big part of that was Randall and Brunson, right? So you take Randall out of the equation. I'm not saying he's totally out of the equation, but if you damp down his impact, so to speak, then that we're kind of even, maybe even below, but not as good.
Yeah, especially with the other guys they have stepping up. They got so many people stepping up. Gabe Vincent was, for 2 games, he was the second best player on the team, right? And then you get Max Struss stepping up, Caleb Martin. Like, they got so many guys stepping up and playing good basketball. And the Knicks, we're not stepping up the way we expect them to step up.
Sim, I mean, forget stepping up. We're not even like on level playing field of what we were in the regular season. Let's not even. We haven't mentioned IQ's potential absence. Now, granted, he hasn't played well either, but now we that's a 10 minutes or whatever it is that has to be replaced. Even his threat, whether he was performing or not, I think his threat, on the floor, knowing that he could pull up and hit shots from anywhere, like we're gonna be missing that. So that's taken away from our depth, and then so who steps up in IQ's absence? Does it have more pressure on Grimes now, who hasn't really been aggressive? When I think that's his best. When he's playing his best, he's aggressive, looking for shots and looking to attack. So yeah, they've had multiple people step up. We had multiple people step down, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and that was actually my next key to the game, figuring out who's going to step in and play now that Emmanuel Quickly is out. Well, he's doubtful, but I'm assuming that he's going to be out. Who steps in? You know what I mean? Are you playing Evan Fournier? The Knicks need shooting. Are you going to give Evan Fournier a try? You going with Deuce? I don't expect D Rose to play. Who are you going with? Steph, who are you going with?
I'm going with Fournier. And I get the defensive part of it. We're just talking about 10 minutes, put him in there with a strong defensive, lineup. I don't think he's going to be shook, to somebody who played, international, basketball, played in high leverage games. I don't anticipate him being shook in a series like this. Will he get the volume? That's the issue with Grimes as well. Will he get enough volume to make a difference? But right now you're just looking for a spark. And even if you play him in the first half and it doesn't go well, you can go to Deuce in the second half.
Right.
You don't have to play him in the second half. But I would give Fournier a shot before I give Derrick Rose a shot. I see Derrick Rose walking into the arena like an old man. He was limped. I was like, I don't know. His gait ain't right. So I don't know if I can give D Rose some time. But I think I would give Fournier.
Yeah.
Would be my choice.
And most of the season it's been either Deuce or Fournier.
Right.
You know what I mean? Tony, what would you do? Who you going with?
I'm definitely giving Fournier the nod for the simple fact we've been atrocious from the three. And if he's not going to bring anything else to the game, is going to be that three ball. And again, like IQ, even if he's not hitting it, the threat of him might open some things up for whoever's in the lineup with him for sure. I'm like conflicted when it comes to D Rose because I feel like he's still capable of having a performance, a 10 minute stretch where he could be vital for this team. Against the Heat, I would only do it in the bench unit with Rose. I don't think he's it's to our advantage to put him in against any of the starters, if you will. But then again, it gets tricky too because Kyle Lowry's coming off the bench and he ain't, as old as he is, he still ain't a slouch. But I think Rose, off of adrenaline and the moment, I think he could still be capable of coming up big. So I'm not opposed to it. And yeah, I think if offensively is what we've been lacking. So I think that's why I would probably go Rose over Deuce at this particular point.
Right.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
How is Miami able to get away with Duncan in spurts? Um, I'm trying to think, is there somebody else? Is Duncan the only one that's not a good defensive player out there? Because they're able to get away with him in spurts. And maybe the issue is that we just have so many players in our lineup that is so hard to hide more than one.
I'll tell you the number one reason why they get away with it, because he's performing, because he's hitting his shots. So he's coming in and doing what he's supposed to do, what they're bringing him in for. You know what I mean?
Positive.
So it's a net positive. Yeah. If he's not performing and he's being a liability, you know what I mean, then I think he quickly gets pulled. So I think that's what it boils down. So he's hitting his shots while he's getting his minutes, and he did it immediately. You know what I mean?
And sometimes, a lot of times, Eric Spoelstra will play zone. I haven't paid attention to whether or not he plays zone when Duncan Robinson is in the game, but that's a way that you can hide a player that's not playing well defensively, right? Play a little bit of zone. Make the other team have to make a decision on, how they're going to beat the zone while you're hiding one of your worst defenders. You know what I'm saying? If you feel you need to. And then, of course, you're surrounding that guy with 4 very good defenders. And I think the Knicks can do the same. I guess part of the issue is, though, when are you putting Evan Fournier out there, and who are you putting him out there with?
Yeah.
Right? Because if you put him out there with Jalen Brunson, then you may really have some problems in the backcourt.
Right.
Right? Now, Emmanuel Quickly's not there, so if you're putting him with the second unit, which he would play with the second unit, so who's it going to be?
That's true. Who's playing in the second unit? Who's playing point? If that's true. So you got Fournier, Grimes, McBride, Obi. Yeah.
So I think that's where you fall into some rotational issues now, because who do you have playing the point guard? If you're going with Fournier over McBride, who's running the point guard spot?
Yeah.
In that unit.
In that second. Hart has done it.
Yeah.
Hart, okay.
Yeah.
You know, so
but I get it.
You're running into some issues there.
Why not use Fournier as a counterpart to Duncan Robinson? So now when Duncan Robinson's in the game, you use Fournier, chances are they're gonna be guarding each other. You know what I mean? So at that point, you know what I mean? You maybe it's you just a counteractive move. You know what I mean? Like, you got your 3-point guy on the floor, we got ours on the floor. If we're going head to head, I'd give Fournier the defensive edge in the one-on-one matchup with Duncan Robinson. I'd give him the experience edge. You know what I mean? So I think he could edge him out in multiple areas, and he's probably, itching to play too. So I think that would be a good counter move, especially when Duncan Robinson comes in. You know what I mean? Boom.
Yeah. We'll see what Tom Thibodeau decides to do. Um, how are you guys feeling about me? I think I would like to see Tom Thibodeau go back to the regular starting lineup with Quentin Grimes and have Hart come off the bench. How do you guys feel about that?
I think it works. If quickly is out, I think it's vital because, like Quinn said, we've seen Hart run the point guard in that second unit anyway. So now it alleviates the point guard issue in the second unit if quickly's out. Um, it's also a defensive switchable guy. So even though he's playing the point, he's able to guard whoever's on the floor, maybe other than Bam, and he'll probably see minutes on or possessions on Bam as well. So I think that makes the most sense for the simple fact it alleviates that second unit point guard duties and yeah, I think that's the best solution if quickly's out 100%.
Yeah.
I agree with that. The only pushback I have is that if Quickly was playing, because that was in play as well. Even before Quickly was out, that was still an argument about Grimes being back in the starting unit. And I think him being in the starting unit is more theoretical, right? He theoretically can stretch the defense, right? He theoretically gives us more shooting. But Grimes has not been that guy for us. I don't really have a lot of confidence in his shooting right now. And obviously, that can, one shot can change everything. But right now, I just don't have a lot of confidence in Grimes as far as the shooting is concerned. And I'm not sure even putting him in the starting lineup stops Miami from doing what they're doing, which is packing in the paint. Because he's shooting, 17, 20%, whatever he's shooting. They're going to want to see him knock down a few before they actually come out of, what they're doing. But all of that being said, I don't have a problem with it because to your point, Tony, now that IQ is out, you do need Josh Hart probably in that second unit handling the ball if you're not going to go with McBride.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
just going back to I think if I'm Tom Thibodeau, I probably still use McBride, but I might use Fournier too. And I might go ahead and just, give Deuce, play a lineup of Deuce, Hart, Evan Fournier, Obi,
Shores
Evan
up the
Fournier,
defense
Yeah,
Mitch.
around them.
yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
That sounds good.
Just for a few minutes to see what happens, see what it does. So maybe you say, all right, well, I'm gonna go ahead and use a 10-man rotation so I can get Fournier in, see if we can get some shooting and see what happens.
Right, right.
You know what I'm
And
saying?
it secures that defense around
Secure.
Fournier
Yep.
a little bit.
You still got a little bit more defense from the guard standpoint. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? To deal with, Jimmy Butler, Kyle Lowry, those guys. I might try that. You know what I mean? Just to see if we can get a couple of shots up with Fournier. If it doesn't work, then you say, all right, well, let me go back to my 9-man rotation.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because RJ Barrett's not really knocking down the three consistently.
None of us are.
And right. So normally RJ Barrett is playing that 3 role,
He's been our best three for sure.
so
But
yeah,
Sim, that same lineup you said with Obi, what if you put RJ
you
at the
you
4
could put RJ at the
instead of
4.
Obi?
Yeah,
Fournier at the 3, Grimes, McBride.
right.
Now that's an even better defensive
That's a
lineup.
better defensive lineup around Fournier, you know.
Mm,
Um,
I like that. And it gives you more ball handling duties spread out because now RJ,
True.
you don't mind RJ bringing the ball up as opposed to Obi bringing the ball up.
Right.
So you got Art Fournier able to, RJ able to, Hart able to, uh Deuce able to. So yeah, I
Right.
do like that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and more switchability as well.
And
Yeah.
Hartenstein theoretically.
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting to see how Tom Thibodeau reacts to, you know, game 3.
Right. And even if he doesn't start Grimes, we should still see some different lineups,
Right.
just to, like if we just seeing the same thing with no rotational adjustments. I mean, there's times when you could go Randall at the 4, 5, RJ at the 4 if you're worried about rebounding.
Right. I mean, I think I had said even after game one, I think it was, I was asking Tony about going small. And should
Yeah.
the Knicks go small in this series? I think they should utilize it more. You know what I'm saying? For the simple fact, the way that they're defending the Knicks, like Cleveland, they were leaving Mitchell Robinson. Jared Allen was leaving Mitchell Robinson to help
Right.
stop Randall from going to the
Right.
basket. Miami's not
Right.
doing that. Bam is staying with Mitchell Robinson, but the defenders on Randall are able to push him whatever direction. You know what I'm saying? So if Mitch is on the right block, well, we're gonna push Randall right. So now Bam doesn't have to leave Mitch. We're pushing Randall to the right. So he's gonna see that Bam is there. You know what I'm saying? Or if he's on the left block, they do the opposite thing. And it's causing trouble for Randall to be able to get anything. He doesn't know where to go right now because they got so many people pinching in to stop
Yes.
him. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so Bam is now able to box Mitch out, keep him off the boards. For the last two games, Mitch has really not been a factor. So he's not really blocking shots.
Right.
So you might as well try to go small and see if you can spread the
Right.
floor out a little bit,
Right.
open it up, open some penetration lanes up. Because if you look, when Jalen Brunson goes to the lane, there's 4 people around him. And he
Right.
can't see who to kick the ball out to because they all got their hands up high.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean?
No doubt. And another thing, Sam, when you if Bam is playing Randall at that 5, now if you got a pick and roll, when we used to do this, I haven't seen it much. That Brunson Randall pick and roll, now you got a mismatch. You got
Yep.
Brunson on Bam, you got Randall on whoever was guarding Brunson. We did that a little bit in the Cleveland series. I haven't seen that much in this series, just trying to get Randall moving, even as the ball handler or the screener, either
Right.
one.
There hasn't been much variation in the Knicks offense at all. It's been super predictable.
Right?
You know what I mean? Tony, you was about to say something. You're
You
muted,
muted,
Tony.
Tom.
Queen mentioned pick and roll, and it just gave me like chills through my body because I watched the last game 3 three times. The pick and roll killed us
Oh yeah.
like all game long. And and,
Right.
and my question my question is like, I mean, that's elementary, right? Like what class is that's the oldest playing basketball. How can that one play just kill us for the entirety of a game?
We're
And
not
is that
defending it.
and well, my question is like, is that concerning moving forward, or is that something that you think is a easy fix adjustment?
I
Because
think it's
pick
good.
and roll killed us all year, technically. So maybe this is
Yeah.
Spo realizing that. You,
Right.
you know what I mean?
That's what I
Being the
was gonna
coach that
say.
he is, and if that's the case, then that's concerning.
That's what I was gonna say. That's why I am concerned about it because even in the Cleveland series, right? Early in the Cleveland series, and Cleveland never really capitalized on it.
Hmm.
I think in game 3, you seen Darius Garland. It was at game 3 at the Garden. Darius Garland and Jared Allen started to kill in the pick and roll, and the Knicks could do nothing with it. You know what I mean? And it was either Darius Garland or Jared Allen finding a bucket somewhere somehow. And Miami's not even doing it with. They're not even doing it with Bam,
Hmm.
right? They're doing it with other people.
They're doing it with everybody, son. Like any combination of the pick and
Exactly.
roll was
Exactly.
like was hurting us. This is the most I watched a game, like 3 times in the playoffs. One game, it was bad.
Yeah. They were killing us. I mean, Cody Zeller. I mean, anyone they could find rolling to the lane, they were killing us. You know what I'm saying? It was definitely it's definitely concerning, I think.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because and not only are they doing the pick and roll, but when they are doing the pick and roll, there's always some action going on the opposite side. You know what I mean? So no one's ever standing still. You got a pick and roll going on the right side of the floor, on the left side of the floor. You got backdoor screens, people cutting to the basket. So there's always options and there's always movement, which is leading to the Knicks. Confusion, exactly. And so you see, you know what I mean? You're seeing wide open shots here, wide open shots there. You know, the Knicks have got to figure out that they've got to figure out how to handle these pick and roll situations.
No doubt about it. The defense is a concern. Offense is more of a concern, but defense is definitely a concern. And even on our pick and roll, I mean, they're gonna have the roll man covered, right? Because they packed in the paint. It's gonna be the same thing, and then we're gonna pass it to the outside shooters. Can we hit a shot?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know, I don't know, man. Let me ask you. You know, we've talked about a lot, right? We've talked about playing Evan Fournier, Julius Randle, hitting shots, how to defend the pick and roll with Miami and other things, of course. Do you see a move the Knicks can make that? I mean, it's only 2-1. The Knicks can win this game. I think they hit shots, they can win the game. But do you see a move the Knicks can make that changes this series? Is there something they can do that changes the series?
I mean, I think as crazy as it's gonna sound, if Fournier gets playing time and performs, as far as like hits threes, you know what I mean, like 4 for 7 from 3 or something like that. That could be it right now. Like, I mean, but it boils down to anybody hitting the shots, right? You know what I mean? So I don't want to put it on Fournier like, all right, he's the answer, because it could be anybody within the flow of the game. Just hit your shots. But you know what I mean? I guess because we haven't seen him, you know, Fournier coming in and just getting hot from 3, and then maybe becoming a staple moving forward. You know,
That would change things. But to your point, anybody. Sam, we hit our perimeter shots, we win this series going away. Because we're getting them.
We're getting them.
We're
That's no
getting
lie.
them.
That's no lie. We're
Yeah.
getting them.
what was it? 8 for 40.
8 for
8 for
40.
40.
8 for 40. There's no lie. We're getting them. We're just not hitting them.
Yeah. And Paris Duggan makes a good point. I think before you even get to strategy, before you get to adjustments, before you get to rotations, you got to match their physicality and you got to match their mentality. Like those two things got to be bedrock basic. Because if you don't have those two things, all of those other things, I just don't think they're going to work. You know, and I just thought Miami was the much more physical team, diving on balls, 50-50 balls. It was all Miami.
Yeah. Do you think the moment is too big for the Knicks?
Ooh.
I
You
don't.
think they took Miami too lightly?
I don't.
It could be. It could be. I mean, and the reason why I ask about the moment being too big is because just like the moment for Cleveland was too big for the Knicks, right? It was their first time in the playoffs. I mean, the
Too big for
moment
Cleveland.
was too big for Cleveland. The Knicks had been at least, you know, I mean, Jalen Brunson's been in the playoffs, right? So they had been in that first round before. This is new territory for the Knicks. For Miami, it's not. Maybe the
Right.
moment's too big for them right now. You know what I'm saying? Maybe the moment is big. The step up in level of play, maybe it's too much for them because they haven't been here. And you sometimes you gotta figure out what it is before you can perform. I don't.
You know, Randall's my guy, right? I'm on that list of Potters that they call Randall apologists or whatever. I feel like he's the only one that is in question whether the moment is too big for him. You know what I mean? And I don't want to believe it. You know what I mean? And it's still time for him. But if he continues on this trajectory, coming off of the playoffs he had 2 years ago, um, I like he's the only one to me. Like Brunson, he had a bad game last game, but in this playoffs, he has been who we thought he was, if not better. Hart has come in and game out, win or lose. He's been performing and been the guy that we've expected from him or better. RJ came in from having like a horrible year for Knicks fans concerned. Um, Two bad games in the first series and has been on point since. You know what I mean? Like
And
now,
Hartenstein as well.
and Hartenstein
Hartenstein
as
as
well.
well.
Now,
Yep.
IQ has underperformed this playoffs, but coming in as a rookie, you couldn't say much bad about him. In the minutes he got, he performed. You could say the same thing about Obi in his first series and in his limited minutes um now. You know what I mean? And this year. So I hate to say it, but the only person that I could question as far as like is the moment too big for is Randall. And I hope I'm hope I don't even say hope I'm wrong because I don't think it's too big for him. I think it just happens to be what's going on right now. But if you're gonna question is the moment too big for somebody, I wouldn't say the team. He's the only guy that I could put
Yeah.
that question on.
I would add Grimes in there.
Yeah.
I would add Quick in there.
Quickly,
I
Mitchell
would
Robinson.
Mitchell Robinson, because we're talking about this series. We're not talking about
Yeah.
Cleveland. We're
Talking
talking
about
about
just
this
Okay,
this
series in terms
series.
of playing
this
a
series
Miami team
collectively.
that's
Oh,
seasoned,
oh,
and a
Right.
veteran type team.
but even with that, like Grimes, I would say just be a little bit more aggressive, and I think he'll be fine. We've seen he's in a shooting slump, but I don't think he's even with me saying be aggressive. I don't think he's been passive. I just think we need him to be aggressive for him to perform better.
But that's what I
Um,
mean, though. When the moment is big, I think you lose that aggression because you're a
mm,
little bit nervous. So that's why I look and definitely Randall. I think the moment might be big for him. This first time ever being in the second round of the playoffs. I think the moment might be big for him. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why I feel like I'm wondering for this team, is the moment too big for this team? And that doesn't mean all of the players, but as a
mhm.
team as a whole, right? Because when you look at Cleveland, it seemed like the moment was too big for them, but that doesn't mean it was for Donovan Mitchell because he had been there before. You know what I'm saying? I feel like maybe the moment is big for this team, and as a group, they're grappling with how to deal with it. Where
Right.
with Miami, they got guys that been there, so the moment's not big for them. I feel, I'm feeling like maybe that's the case. You know what I'm
I
saying?
hate to
And
say it,
Randall is
Sam.
the biggest culprit, but
And that falls on coaching then. You know what I mean? Like for you to try to get a guy like Grimes right, I think that's on the coaches. And then you have other guys on this team. Do you think this moment would be, I'm gonna put it in quotations, but too big for a Fournier? No, but I mean, for me, I'm gonna say no, but that's based off of who he is, what he's been through internationally, etc. Again, that's a coaching decision, not understanding. All right, this moment might be too big for IQ. Um, Let me make this adjustment. This moment might be too big for Grimes. Let me make this adjustment and let me get in their ear too as to keep
I mean,
them
I mean, I, I
in
get
that
that,
moment.
I get
I,
that, I get that, right? But when you're a coach can talk to you about the moment and this and that. You don't know how your body, how you're gonna react until you get out there.
mhm.
And once you start playing against the competition, that's when the things start to set in and how your body is gonna react. Has Tom Thibodeau hasn't really been good in this series, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? He hasn't been good in this series, but I don't know how much you can do as a coach and stopping the moment from being too big as a player. Sometimes those moments, it comes with experience and playing in those moments. Then the next time, it's not as big. It doesn't, it doesn't feel as big. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I can, you can look at Brunson, you can look at RJ,
Hart,
Hart, maybe those three
Hartenstein,
guys have
Hartenstein.
been able to handle it. You know what I'm saying? I think you have at least half of your team that I feel like the moment is too big. And that's that's your team.
Well, let me ask you this, Sim, because I think I did make a valid point in if you insert a Fournier, even if you insert a Rose, do you think that the moment is that something that Tibbs would have to understand, realize, and say, all right, maybe the moment won't be as big or too much for a Fournier. Maybe the moment may not be as too big for a Rose, and make those type of adjustments.
But those guys you also gotta have confidence that those guys are gonna perform, whether or not it's too big for them or not. Like someone could be able to, okay, the moment's not too big for me. I'm not worried about the moment. I could be calm and handle it, but am I good enough right now to produce? So you have that as well. You know what I mean?
If the other guys aren't being good enough and the moment's too big, you know what I mean? Like,
and then,
what's the
I mean, but then also you have to let your guys go through the moment in order for them not to be,
get the experience,
in
learn.
order for it not to be too big for them the next time.
Fair
You know
enough.
what I'm saying? If you take them out and then they're like, damn, I wasn't performing, I got snatched out, boom, boom, boom. The next time, they still haven't gotten over that hump of the moment being big. I think
that can make them, that could break them, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think
Yeah,
this is how teams become battle tested, and they learn how to handle the moment by losing, by not being able to handle the moment. I think you learn how to handle the moment. Like Cleveland's going to come back better next year, and learn how to handle those moments better, and hopefully the Knicks can still pull this series out. You know what I'm saying? They got to get the win tonight, but if they don't, then maybe they can come back better, learning how to handle those moments. You know what I mean? It's a tough situation. Josh, what's going on, man?
Afternoon. How's it going? Sim, Tony, Steph, MBK fam, the chat.
Hoping to get this win tonight, man. That's how it's going. Hoping we can get this win, man.
Absolutely. I just, you know me, I just disagree with y'all. There's no way I'm putting Evan Fournier in over Deuce McBride. And forget about the fact that, Deuce McBride can give us defense at the point of attack. And, the transition game, which I think which was a part of our versatility. What about going back to the stuff that got us to this point, that was able to get us to this point? And I'm not talking about Deuce specifically, but I'm talking about during the course of the season. If Emmanuel Quickly was out or one of the guards was out, Deuce McBride was the next person up. So I don't understand why we would do something different at this point in the season. In this point in the playoffs. To me, the Knicks are who they are. They have never not been that good of a shooting team, right? So in the half court, I'm not expecting them to shoot magically, 45% from three. I'm not expecting them to do that. And I'm not going to depend on Evan Fournier, who's been basically out the whole season, came in for a few spurts. I don't think he has one good shooting game this season to come in and provide us with some extra three-point shooting in this game. The best thing for the Knicks to do, in my opinion, is to have Deuce McBride out there who can defend at the point of attack and have us be able to go out the other way in transition. Defense leading to offense. Since we got the Josh Hart, we made the Josh Hart trade. That was one of the things that made our scoring so much more versatile, because even though we weren't getting it in the half court, so to speak, we were getting points in other areas, points in the paint, transition points, stuff like that. To me, I think Deuce McBride can help us in that area, as opposed to just depending on Evan Fournier to come in cold to shoot three-point shots, which he hasn't been really doing the whole season. So that's just my take on that. I don't think we should go with Evan Fournier at all. I hear what y'all saying about the experience and everything like that, but he hasn't played. So I'm not going to go against what we've been doing to get us here. The thing with the Grimes and not in the starting lineup, and now not putting Deuce in over Evan Fournier, I just want to go that route.
Well, this is the slight pushback I have. Miami is taking away the things we did to get there. Points in the paint, they were plus 14. second chance points. The Knicks are not averaging as many second chance points as they once was. Points off turnovers, which is not a big thing for us, but in the Cleveland series, it was. So Miami is taking those things away. They know how the Knicks like to score. The Knicks don't have those advantages, especially in game three. So basically, what they're saying is, we know what you like to do. We're going to take that away from you. And the only thing we're going to leave for you is perimeter shooting. If you hit that, you win the game. Now, if you look at the stats on the game, as particularly last night, they were plus 14 second chance points. I think it was 36-50. So then, and even when the Knicks won points in the paint, even when the Knicks won second chance points, it was slight, not necessarily points in the paint for game two, but it was a slight win in terms of second chance points. It was like, I don't know, +4. So we're not as dominant as we were in the regular season. We're not as dominant against Miami in those categories as we were in the Cleveland series. So sure, I mean, fine. You want to put McBride in and see if he can get some defense, or see if we can get some fast break points. Yeah, I do think that will help. I think we had 5 fast break points the last game. They had 0. The fast break points really hasn't been an issue in this series.
You know, I don't have a problem.
And Sim said both. I was just gonna say, you said do both.
I said do
Fournier
both.
and McBride, which I think is a happy medium. Can real quick, Sim?
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
just want to ask, because I think what I take from what Josh is saying, or one of the concerns I was having is Tibbs going against his grain. And we seen how it turned out 2 years ago when he kind of caved in and went against his grain. I'm not going to elaborate. Everybody knows what I'm talking about.
What's going against the grain and what's an adjustment?
Good question.
Yeah,
Good question.
Well,
Right.
So it's not an adjustment because he did it to start the series. It wasn't like he waited a couple games in to swap the lineup. So he did that coming into the series.
But hold on. It wasn't like Grimes played the entire Cleveland series and then we got to Miami and he said, you know what, you're out the starting lineup.
Right.
Grimes got hurt. So Hart played the last 2. So it was, okay, do I go with the chemistry that I had in the regular season in those first 2 games of Cleveland? Or do I go with the chemistry that I've seen in game 3, 4, and 5, or whenever Grimes was out? And he said, well, you know what? This right here, small sample size is working. I'm going to roll with it. But it's not like he just took Grimes out the lineup and put Hart in. Let's not forget the injury.
Right.
I hear you.
And I'm referring to Fournier being put in as the change, as opposed to, like Josh was saying, traditionally what we've seen is Deuce as the next man up, especially when it's like a positional thing. You know what I mean? Like Deuce would be playing in place of Grimes. We really didn't see Fournier get put in until who was it? RJ getting hurt, or
yes, RJ. If RJ did,
so
correct.
So that's what I mean when I'm saying Tibbs going against his grain, or against like his normal routine formula. Right. But I mean, you make a good question. Like, what's the difference?
I mean, I'm okay with
an adjustment and
correct, because what do we need?
Right.
So I mean, it's fine. I mean, we could go with McBride.
I mean, the thing is,
we'll see. I don't think we're getting a lot from McBride, though.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, defense hasn't been the problem, to be honest with you. You know, we've given up some open 3-point shots, but I mean, Miami's averaging 106 points per game. They came into the series averaging 124 or 125 points per game. You know what I'm saying? Right. I mean, that's almost a 20-point difference as far as scoring the basketball. Last game, they shot 34% from the field, 21% from the 3-point line. You know what I mean? It's not like we're not playing defense against this team. We are playing good defense. I have no problems with Deuce McBride being out there and helping to enhance the defense, especially with IQ being out. You know what I'm saying? You want to have somebody out there that can come in and give you defensively what IQ gives you defensively. I get that. But I'm not opposed to Evan Fournier, whether or not Deuce plays. I'm not I'm not opposed to Evan Fournier playing some minutes to see if he can help to spread that floor a little bit, because they need somehow, some way, they need someone to help loosen up that defense. And like Steph said, even if you say, I'm gonna give him 5 minutes in the first half, if it looks good, I'll roll with it. If it don't, then I'm not gonna roll with it. And the difference, Tony, I think, between making a complete change and an adjustment in that first series, in that first year, he took Peyton totally out. You know what I'm saying? And didn't play. Went from starting to 0 minutes. You know what I'm saying? And that's a drastic change. You know what I'm saying? To go from, it's not even like, okay, I'm still going to use him for some defensive purposes here and there. He just snatched them totally out the lineup. That's a drastic change. I think this is more like, okay, let me test out Fournier and see if we can catch lightning in the bottle.
I agree. My only pushback to the Evan thing is he might start and play 13 minutes. He might start and play 3 minutes, and we might not see him the rest of the game. As far as it wasn't that drastic as far as minutes. You know what I mean? Because we didn't know what he was going to get especially as the series went along. So
can I just add something real quick? I just want to add something. So oftentimes when we talk about what the Knicks should do as far as adjustments, we tend to look at how individual players and what individual players can add from an individual standpoint as far as their production and what they can bring. I'm looking at it from a perspective of how the team is going to perform and how the units are going to play well together, right? So a perfect example that I have, that starting lineup that we had after we got Josh Hart, the Mitch, Randall, RJ, Grimes, Brunson starting lineup, but that lineup on the floor together was a plus 72 in the regular season. Plus 72, which led the team by far, right? That lineup that I just mentioned played 0 minutes together in this series. Zero. So,
but Josh,
hold on. So what I'm saying is, as a unit, I just feel like with that, specifically with the Grimes move and the starting lineup, the way Miami defends that lineup is different than when Josh Hart is out there. They don't respect Josh Hart from three. Josh Hart's not going to take many 3-point shots. We had this discussion earlier in the season when I said that Grimes should be in that starting lineup because of his ability to space the floor, not just because whether he makes the shot or not, but his ability to shoot it and whether the other team is going to respect it. And you've seen in the small times when Grimes has been out there on the floor, Miami has, when he's off the ball, Miami has shaded over towards him instead of being in the paint as differently than they have when he's not on the floor. So to me, I just look at it from a team perspective. And again, I'm not expecting the Knicks to shoot, great or even mediocre because that's just not who they are. But what got us to this point is our ability to get points off transition, right? Which Miami hasn't stopped us from doing that. We stopped ourselves from doing that because we don't have those players, or those players are not really attacking and doing what we did defensively to get us in that position. And points in the paint, how many of those points in the paint came from us getting in transition? Right. So to me, I'm looking at how the team is playing together. And I just felt like we shot ourselves in the foot more. And I give a lot of credit to Miami, but I felt like we played into their hands, in my opinion.
Yeah, I hear you. I don't have a lot of confidence in Grimes right now. And I think I hear what you're saying in terms of theoretically what he can do. But what has he been shooting? What is his percentage? I just don't think Miami is going to come out of what they're doing unless Grimes proves that he's going to shoot more than make 1 or 2 shots. Number one, he doesn't get the volume. So let's start there. The Knicks need to get him some volume as well. But I don't think for Grimes, they're going to come out of what they're doing. I think they are committed to the paint. And with that means, you may give up a 3 here and there. But overall, they're banking on the fact that we're not going to hit enough of them.
I just think we should give it a shot because we haven't seen it.
I mean, that's fine. We definitely can. Listen. But Grimes is not even aggressive when he's in the game. He's not even getting the volume. He's taking like 3 shots, 4 shots. It's just not enough.
To Queen's point, Josh Hart has been hitting the 3, and they haven't made an adjustment. They okay with it. You know what I mean? They're okay with it.
They're banking on that.
They're saying we don't want Randall to score. we gotta try to limit Brunson. You know what I mean? But Josh has been performing and they're leaving him open. He's taking the shots and he's shooting a decent percentage. You know what I mean? Like, so
personally, for me, I like the energy change of Josh Hart coming off the bench. That's what I like.
That's now
You know
we're talking. If we're gonna say that, I'm with that.
You know, I feel like with Grimes coming off the bench, IQ and those guys. Well, IQ not tonight.
Right.
There is no
Right.
energy shift, and I feel
no
like
inf. No oomph.
I feel like with Josh
Right.
Hart coming off the bench, Obi coming out there with him, I feel like it changes the energy of the game when we were doing that. I would like to see that again.
Correct.
You know what
That
I
I can deal with.
mean? You know,
I think all of it plays in. And Tony, you said that Evan Fournier will be a kind of cancel out Duncan Robinson. I don't agree with that because the Knicks are not running Evan Fournier off 3 or 4 screens or running anybody off 3 or 4 screens. To me, Evan Fournier is a complete liability, and I think we'll be in worse shape by putting him out there and expecting, to put other 4 good defenders around him and us to be able to succeed. I think we'll be worse because they're running Duncan Robinson off 2, 3, 4 screens, right? The Knicks are not doing that with Evan Fournier. It's not a cancel out situation. It's not a one-on-one.
And that,
but they don't need to.
One doesn't have
guys are
nothing to do
hitting
with
shots. The Knicks have open shots, and whatever offense they're running, they're getting open shots. Fournier would get those same shots, whether you run them off screens or not. The same shots that Grimes and IQ and Josh Hart and Barrett are missing. If Fournier is in the game, he's going to get those shots as well. And listen, I'm not going to sit here and say Fournier is going to knock him down. I'm just saying, just give him 5 minutes.
It's worth a look.
And let's see, because we're not getting what we need to get, in my opinion, perimeter shooting from any of these guys. That's all.
I was just talking about in regards to defending the 3. Like Evan Fournier, like it's easier for Duncan Robinson to defend our 3-point shots because we're not running him off 2, 3 screens compared to Miami and how they're running theirs. That's what I was talking about in that regard. So I don't consider it a canceling out from that perspective.
Gotcha.
But,
and
you're right. You're right, Queen.
As far as looking at it from a team perspective and an individual player perspective, in order for your team to work, individual players got to be working too, right? Those individual parts have to work. If those individual parts don't work, then your team ain't gonna work. You know what I mean? Right. And I think, giving Evan Fournier at least a look to see if you catch lightning in a bottle. If he comes in and he hits a couple of threes,
it changes things.
Now things change. Now maybe everyone else is feeling, the energy flows to other people that's on your basketball team, and they start knocking down some threes too. We'll see what Tom Thibodeau decides to do. I mean, you're at that point. Maybe Tom Thibodeau doesn't feel like he's at that point yet. Where he has to make this kind of a move. Maybe when they're down 3-1, then you see him, try to make a move.
Hey, don't say when.
Well, you know what I mean. I'm saying.
Losers Lounge tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
I didn't mean win like that. You know what I'm saying? If they win tonight, then you probably don't like. If he doesn't make a move and they win tonight, then you probably don't see a move like that. You know what I'm saying? But if they lose and they're down 3-1, then maybe he makes a move. Just like he didn't go small until it was a desperate situation. So all right, let me see if this is gonna work.
Okay, go ahead, Tom.
I just wanted to know, like, did you feel any way about it? Because I know you've been asking for it, but it felt like he was grasping for straws at that point.
Yeah. Right, but they went on a 12-2 run at that point too.
They did, and it looked. Yeah, you're right.
You know what I'm saying? It's not something that you're gonna just. I don't think you're gonna bank on it for the entire series, but in spurts, I think you can play it to help change the energy, give Miami a different look out there. You know what I'm saying? I think you can use it. But yeah, I did. I was like, man, you wait till this time to use it, and maybe remember I was asking you, maybe it's something he has in his back pocket. He's like, I'm not going to show it too early. Maybe I keep this in my back pocket till I need it.
Right. I would like it better than with RJ, but RJ is a bricker too. So, but just in terms of rebounding wise, I would prefer him at the 4 than Obi, but Obi gives us the shooting. RJ potentially gives us the rebound.
Right. And yeah. I guess the thing with Obi, he gives you a little bit more length, even though you're small. You get a little bit more length. He's shooting the ball well too, Obi, I think. You know, or he's not afraid to shoot it at least. I don't know what his percentages are for the series. Someone said like 32 or 34% from three or something like that. I mean, even if he's 32%, that's better than the entire team combined for the three-point line so far this series. You know, and that might be your second or best shooter from the three-point line this series. I don't know. Go ahead, Tony. You was about to say something?
No, I was saying he's shooting better than Randall.
Oh, he's definitely shooting better than Randall.
No doubt about that.
Definitely. Hopefully Randall can shake himself out of it tonight, man. Because if not, then it will be a 3-1 series if he don't shake himself out of it. You know what I mean? Anyway, let's go to some predictions. Then I'm gonna get up out of here. Tony, your predictions.
Knicks win.
Tonight, man.
I'm putting it in the air, man.
Losers Lounge 10:30.
Yeah, that's right. Knicks win. Knicks win. That's it.
Okay. All right, Steph.
I think the Knicks win. I think they get the perimeter shooting that they need. That was a correction in game 2 after they shot so poorly in game 1. So I think the same thing happens. I think the Knicks will be much more aggressive, and I think they'll be hopefully quicker to loose balls and things like that tonight. So I do think the Knicks tie it up. Queens Court at 6 as well, Sim, if that's okay.
Yeah, definitely, without a doubt. Uncle Fulio.
Devil's advocate. Every time I pick the Knicks to lose, they win. So I'm picking Miami. They go up 3-1.
Putting that energy out there, man.
Every time I do it, the Knicks wind up winning. Yeah, so whatever.
And Tony, I'm picking the Knicks to win. I wasn't saying they was gonna lose tonight. All right, it wasn't a Freudian slip. All right, you know what I'm saying. I was just trying to say, is that when he's gonna choose to make a change? You know what I'm saying? I'm picking the Knicks to win tonight. I think they're gonna come out desperate, and with a sense of urgency that they didn't have in game 2 or game 3. I think they're going to come out with a bigger sense of urgency tonight. Probably maybe even a little bit more comfortable in the arena. You know what I mean? Even though they've played there however many times, just being in the playoffs, it's a different energy, right? It's different. So more comfortable in the arena and all of that. And if they went tonight, they did their job. As much as, it feels panicky and feel nervous, if they win tonight, they take back home court advantage. You know what I mean? And they can bring it back to the Garden with a chance to go up 3-2. So, yeah, let's get this win tonight, man. Let's get this win. I'm gonna get up out of here, but Queens Court at 6:00. Post game show tomorrow, 10:30. Hopefully, we're doing the Losers Lounge after the post game show. You know what I'm saying? So, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate your time, and let's go Knicks, man. Let's get this win tonight. We out of here. Peace.
This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock. Who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.